in Libya.
OK, Professor, let's leave it there for now. We'll talk again soon. And while the fighting goes on, the humanitarian crisis is worsening. The United Nations says as many as 180,000 people have fled Libya through its borders with Egypt and Tunisia. These were the scenes on the Tunisian side of the border on Wednesday, where tens of thousands remain stranded. Most of them are Egyptians trying to get out. Some nations have already started airlifting refugees back to their home countries. The United Nations is carrying out most of the relief work. It says food and tents are its biggest priorities. Attention is now turning to the stockpile of weapons Muammar Gaddafi might have built up over 4 decades of rule. But as Tim Friend reports, fears over what the Libyan leader could have at his disposal may not match reality.
Showing off military might is a tradition Colonel Gaddafi was happy to fulfill. This was the 40th anniversary of the revolution in 2009. But now his weapons are being used in anger, and the key questions are: how much weaponry does he have? What is he likely to do with it? And can it be neutralized? Libya's military might looks very different on paper than it does on the ground. The Air Force is said to be made up of 18,000 personnel, more than 200 fighter aircraft and 35 attack helicopters. But 3 aircraft have already been lost in the current unrest, and the airworthiness of the remaining jets has been questioned. The Navy boasts 8,000 personnel and 2 submarines, but Western military analysts believe that the subs have long been abandoned. The Libyan army claims to have 50,000 soldiers, more than 2,200 battle tanks and 945 armoured personnel carriers. But military analysts believe that years of sanctions and overall neglect have rendered much of the army's equipment useless.
Like any autocratic country, Gaddafi has probably for years been exaggerating the size of his armed forces. On the other hand, I would also warn that his forces, the ones around him now, particularly the 32nd Brigade, led by his son Khamis, is probably the best equipped in the army. It's received Western equipment, contracts inked in recent years. It's received outside training. And so despite the obsolescence of some weaponry, despite the poor servicing of some of his planes, he still retains the very best equipment as against the rebels.
So, the Libyan army may not have the strength that it claims, but there's still a significant force on the ground. Analysts say that Gaddafi has a loyalist brigade made up of 10,000 to 12,000 troops, and those forces are trying to block the advance of the opposition and maintain control in western Libya. The heavy presence of loyalist forces means that Gaddafi still retains a strong grip on the capital, Tripoli, the town of Sabha, and his hometown of Sirte.
It's thought that Libya destroyed its entire stockpile of chemical weapons in 2004 as part of a rapprochement with the West. It does have deadly mustard gas stored at a secret desert location, but no longer has the capability to deliver it. Small comfort for the rebels as they battle for victory. Tim Friend, Al Jazeera.
The battle for Brega has been dominating online content. We'll be looking into that right after the break.
Well, here at the Web Desk, I'll have the latest video of the fighting with an interview of what's claimed to be a captured soldier in just a moment.
Business Latest is brought to you by Capco in just about everything. Business Latest is brought to you by Capco in just about everything.
Afghanistan is faced with a huge challenge.
Relations have gone really sour between us and our allies.
We have inflicted considerable damage on the enemy.
The people who make international headlines.
Ultimately, the truth will out.
They want to stop this publication of information that embarrasses them.
Make time for Sir David Frost. Frost over the world. At this time on Al Jazeera.
You're watching Al Jazeera, a reminder of the very latest on the uprising in Libya. This video uploaded on the internet is said to show protesters repelling a major counter-offensive by pro-Gaddafi troops in Brega. This footage has not been independently verified. Rebels took control of the oil export terminal a week ago. The Libyan leader has again said he won't step down, and Al Jazeera has learned that Colonel Gaddafi has accepted an offer by Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez to mediate the crisis. The Arab League says it could impose restrictions over Libyan airspace if fighting continues, but the American Defense Secretary is warning of the gravity of such a move. The social media sites continue to be an important source of information and images out of Libya. Tarek Bousley is on our web desk.
Well, thanks, Anne. And as we've been hearing, in the last 24 hours, the port town of Brega, which is home to a major oil facility, has been seeing fighting between anti and pro-government forces. Well, this raw footage, 9 minutes of it in total, has been uploaded to YouTube. It appears to show fighting in the sand dunes near the coast. Well, the anti-government forces, armed with automatic weapons and rocket-propelled grenades, appear to fire and come under fire. This man says he'll leave by force, referring to Colonel Gaddafi. Bullets are heard overhead and the fighter falls to the ground. This man says against the regime, against the stray dog. Well, another man claims they're fighting mercenaries. He says were grouped near the port and were travelling in 120 cars. Also posted to the web what's claimed to be an interview with a reservist soldier captured after the fighting.
I was a reserve soldier. They told us to get into the cars. We wore our gear and were taken to Brega. We were going to make base there or clean it or something, to sweep it so they can control it. I won't lie to you. They told us we were going to do some military cleaning. It means whoever attacks you with bullets, you shoot them.
Well, it appears that the battle for Brega is not over, if comments on the micro-blogging site Twitter are to be believed. In the last few hours, Shabab Livia says cars are reported to be full of mercenaries with the intention of joining a battalion outside Ras Lanuf to head to Brega to regain Libya. Well, Dicey Lee 808 says in the city of Huwaha, reports 70 cars have arrived in the town filled with mercenaries. They plan to attack the city of Brega, occupy it and the airport. In one curious tweet referring to the use of mercenaries, Reda